Mr. Louis Glickstein, 59 Paddock 2nd Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11236. Date of birth, February 3rd, 1925. Born in Szczemienice, Poland. Okay, answers to questionnaire number 1 on ghetto Alkarts. Alkars. All right. Question 2. Where were you in the same town before the ghetto was set up?
Yes, I lived there.
All right. If not, all right. When was the ghetto in your town set up?
In 1940, I guess, 1941.
What anti-Jewish actions were taken before the ghetto was established, including programs and so forth?
What do you mean by Jewish actions?
Anti-Jewish actions.
Anti-Jewish action. They took us out on the field, and the whole town, and they made us lay on the stomach, and they gathered us in the synagogue, and they sent away young people to camp for work. Mm-hmm. They make us shovel snows and clean the streets and around town,
all right.
And all kinds of work without pay.
All right. Question 5. Did any of your family live in the same ghetto with you?
Yes. My youngest brother and sister lived with me.
What work did you do in the ghetto?
Well, like I said before, cleaning streets, shoveling snows, whatever we need for the city, whatever they ask us to do.
Were you a refugee in the ghetto from another? Well, no, you weren't.
No, I was not.
All right. If you stayed in your own hometown, how did your townspeople view refugees from other places?
To help them as much as we could. There were refugees, a lot of refugees from Germany, from Niederschlesien. German Jews were refugees in our town.
Do you remember the dates of their arrival?
No, I have no idea.
Question 9. Was it allowed to leave the ghetto at first?
At first, I think so.
For how long were you allowed to leave the ghetto?
Well, there were certain hours we could go out. I think there was a curfew that we couldn't.
Right. Can you give me the approximate size of the ghetto? Was it one or more ghettos in the same town?
No, it was one ghetto. It was a few streets. Like the Kamyanko was like all pushed apart from the city. There were about 3,000 Jewish people in the town.
Question 11. Was there a wall, a wooden fence, a barbed wire fence, or no physical barrier?
No physical barrier.
The organization of guards at the gates. Do you remember, the hours of entry, the pass systems, the nature of the guards? Were they Jewish, German, Polish, or other?
Jewish. I think they were Jewish milits. It wasn't strictly guarded like with police around, but you were told that you shouldn't go out, and if you were caught outside, you would have been punished.
Question 13. Did you have any knowledge of what went on outside the Nazi territory?
What do you mean by knowledge?
Of what went outside Nazi territory? What was happening outside Nazi territory?
Well, we assumed, we read papers, sometimes we learned something of radio or somebody.
Oh, so there were radios and were there underground papers?
Not that I know of. But some from the Polish people, we could get some information.
Did you send or receive letters from abroad?
I think in the beginning we did. I think so.
From whom?
Like I sent to Russia letters in the beginning because my brothers and sisters, they went to Russia.
Did you receive any letters?
Yeah, I received letters for a while, and I sent back letters to Russia.
When did you know the truth about the extermination, the gas chambers?
Oh, I think by 1942, 41, 42, 43. I don't remember exactly. The truth, we assumed. The truth.
All right. Question 15. Did you have any personal family plans to escape? And if so, what were they?
Not really.
Question 16. What did you eat in the ghetto at different times? The size of the ration, the method of distribution, and who distributed the food?
You think we have rationing, we have ration cards.
What kind of food did you eat?
Very little meat, whatever we could buy or we could get. We made our own Like we buy corn or wheat, we grind it with a coffee machine, and we bake our own bread to supplement what we got.
Who distributed the food?
I don't remember. I had a very bad memory.
Not
No,
yours.
that's true. When I went.
Question 17. The size of the living space throughout the time. How many people were there in the apartment or room? And can you tell me the cooking and sanitary arrangements?
The room, we were five people in a room.
How about the cooking and sanitary arrangements?
The cooking, we have a stove, I assume, and the sanitary arrangement were outside, like in Poland. You didn't have no
Was there
toilets or water.
how was the availability of the coal or wood for the heating?
Not plentiful. We have to go and organize, like prepare and get.
Question 18. What pre-war political parties were there?
Jewish political parties?
Yeah, all right. Jewish or non-Jewish?
There was the Communist Party, not Jewish. There was the Communist Party, the Socialist Party, but the Jewish organization was all parties, the whole bunch.
What was the... Go ahead.
All the Jewish fractions, that's common knowledge. You know,
Right.
like the Shomer HaTzayir, the Mizrahi, or all the Jewish organization.
What was the relative strength and who were the Jewish leaders in the town before 1939? Do you remember the Jewish?
I don't remember.
You know what happened to the Jewish leaders during the war?
Well, most of them were went to Auschwitz, I assume, together with my parents.
Question 19. How was the first Judenrat appointed?
I don't know.
Do you know who
Probably the Germans picked them. They tell them, you're going to be the Judenrat, or you do that, and you do that, and that's all.
All right. Do you know who the people were in it? Were they prominent people? Were they rabbis? Businessmen?
I don't know. I think maybe businessmen.
Can you try to describe the Judenrat's development as far as leadership and organization are concerned throughout the time?
No.
Can you describe the origins and background of the Judenrat members, if you know them?
No.
Okay, question 20. Regarding the Jewish police, how many policemen were there?
I have no idea. Maybe 20?
Were they subject to the Judenrat, or did they rule it? Did they rule the Judenrat, or the Judenrat ruled the Jewish police?
I can honestly, truthfully not remember which is which. I don't remember.
That's all right. Were they subject to the Judenrat? All right, I just asked you that. Were they under, do you remember if they were under direct German supervision? Or were they under Polish police?
I think they were under the German supervision.
All right. Questionnaire number 1 on Benjin. Survivor was in Benjin from 1942 to early 1943.
Well, this was, we was taken there for a special purpose, namely that there was a big factory where the Germans repaired all the uniforms from the soldiers. They replaced sleeves and collars, and they used these clothes for workers, but they go on the East Front. Like they didn't give it to the soldiers, but they gave it to workers, but they sent to the East Front to build bridges or whatever to do. And that was our purpose there. So we lived in the ghetto, and we worked in that factory. They took us out from Olkush, and other people were from Benjin or from the vicinity. The people worked there in the factory.
Was any of your family live in the same ghetto with you?
No, I was the only one taken there to do the work. And when after comes Judenrein there, I still remained there for 7 weeks to liquidate these factories. We packed everything up, machinery, and sent it out. And after that, I went to Anneberg. They took me to Anneberg.
In this ghetto, was there a wall, a wooden fence, a barbed wire fence, or no barrier?
No barrier, I don't think so.
All right. Did you have any plans to escape?
Well, in Benjin, I have. After the Judenrein, I was hiding for 3 days on the roof, on the attic of the mikveh. You know what a mikveh is?
Yeah.
You know what a mikveh is?
What?
A bed, a Jewish bed, where the people go to bathe, like a pool.
Yeah.
But it's a difference. It's a mikvah. You parents will know what it is.
All right.
I was hiding there out with my cousin and another boy. Oh, but we didn't have... my cousin did escape, but he went on the Polish side and then he went in Berlin. But after 3 days, I was seeing going back and forth the Jewish people to work to the camp to clean out the factory there. I joined them and that's how I got in the camp. Who was it?
All right. On Camp Annenberg, survivor was there from August 1943 to October 1943. Questionnaire number 2. Question 1. The date of arrival at the camp, from where and by what method of transportation?
Well, we arrived by train there and we was assigned in barracks, maybe tidy or some other people to a room. And this was a transition camp. In the meantime, we worked on, we built highways.
Did you arrive alone or with your members of family?
No, with other members of family, with other Jewish people.
Was there a selection on arrival?
No, I don't think so. There was assignment. They assigned everybody to different work.
Can you describe the guard system?
The guard system? Was the Wehrmacht, the Wachmeisters.
Do you know the name of the commander or commanders, officers, and men?
No.
Do you know how many Germans guarded the camp, and how many non-Germans were there?
No, I don't know.
Do you remember any incidents that could be used to accuse individual Nazis as war criminals?
No.
Can you tell me the general composition of the inmates, like general number, the ages, the sex, Jews and non-Jews, or just Jews?
Only Jews, only Jews.
All ages? Or
well, all ages. I was amongst the youngest and the older ones.
Do you know the towns or areas of origin?
Oh, from the inmates?
Yeah.
Well, mostly I think was from Poland.
All right. Can you describe the capos? Were they good ones or bad ones?
There were good ones and there were bad ones.
The food? Describe the food.
The food. The first time there, I was I introduced me to eat snakes. Not snakes.
Snails.
Snails, the small ones. That's the first time I ever ate this before. And this they gave us that to eat.
Can you describe their daily routine?
Well, the we got up in the morning, we got our rations, about 20 grams of bread and a piece of margarine or something, and we went out to work. And when we come back, we got the soup, this is called the dinner, I mean.
Were people killed, and if so, how many?
I didn't see anybody killed.
Didn't see anyone killed. Did you make any attempts to escape, or were there any other attempts to escape?
No, not to my knowledge.
Was there an organized underground or planned resistance?
No.
Were there any contacts with the outside?
I don't think so.
Were there any attempts at cultural activity?
No.
Were there any children in the camp?
No.
What were the relationships between the Jewish inmates?
Well, good, I would say. We tried to help each other if we could, but what could one help? One was trying to protect his own ration and to watch out, and there isn't much one can do for another.
Was there a conflict between the Jews and the non-Jews?
No, there wasn't non-Jews. There was all Jews in the camp.
Did you help? No. Did you receive any help from fellow inmates?
No, like I said before, there isn't much one can do for another. What could help? Yeah. Give him back my piece of bread. He needed it myself, and he needed it too. If we can steal something, we can share something, potatoes or what, if we can steal.
Were you ill?
No.
Was there any medical attention of any kind?
Yeah, there was some, if you got hurt, I guess.
By Jewish or German?
By Jews, Jewish personnel. They were in charge of like informator or whatever you call it.
Can you describe the clothing, the sanitary conditions?
The clothing was very poor. We got the old used clothing from not enough. It was cold.
Did you or anyone else receive mail officially or any parcels?
Not that I remember, not that I know of. No.
On Camp Blechema, survivor was there from October 1943 to November 1943.
Well, in Blechem it was a transit camp too, because I was only there only a few weeks. It was a very big camp. That's the only camp I could have buy bread. I had money with me. I have about 200 marks. That's the only place I can buy bread, because it was a lot of people went out of town to work on big factories and big Baustelle. This is like they were building big factories. So they have contact with the Yase, with the Germans, and some people bought and dropped in bread, so I could buy bread. So this is the only place where I bought extra ration of bread for money.
How did you get the money?
I had money with me. I took the money with me, about 200 marks, and I hid it in a shoe polish box. And in this camp I spent a few bucks, and after that I went to other camps. I didn't have the opportunity anymore to spend, and either I lost it or it took away from me, or what. This is the only thing that I remember.
Do you remember of any plans to escape by anyone? Or did you try to escape?
No, I don't think so.
Was there a selection on arrival?
No.
You
What do you mean by a selection? Who should live and who should die like this? No. They only assigned. Well, this was camps. It wasn't a concentration camp like a crematorium that you were come in Auschwitz. This was a camp where you come and they took you to work, wherever they needed you or they want you.
What kind of work did you do?
And carried stuff like in building, dig ditches, or carrying bricks to the bricklayer, or whatever, laborer.
No organized underground. Were there any children in the camp?
No.
Was the food good?
Like an old camp, it wasn't good, but the only thing was in this camp that you could, if you have money, you could buy some rations.
Did you see any people killed?
No.
Was there a planned or organized underground?
No.
Were you ever ill there?
Not that I remember.
Was there any medical attention?
Yeah, there was.
By German or Jewish?
By Jewish, I think. Jewish people, Jewish nurses or whatever.
Did you receive any mail there officially?
No.
Question number 2 on Schmiedenberg. Survivor was there from November 1943 to May 1944. Okay, how did you get there and from where?
From Blechem I got there. And that was one of the voice camps.
How did you get there? By what kind of transportation?
By train, probably, or buses, I don't know.
Were you alone or with members of your family?
No.
Was there a selection on the arrival?
No.
Can you describe the location, the size of the camp, its guard system?
About the same as all the other camps, nothing different. But we have made us work very hard, and the food was very, very bad. Boys in Blechem.
How many Germans guarded the camp, do you know?
No.
You know any name of the commanders or officers or men there?
One I remember, he was limping, he was in charge, but I don't remember the name. He was a very, very mean individual.
What kind of position did he hold? You know, he was an officer? Or?
He was a Lagerführer, he was an officer.
Do you remember any incidents that could be used to accuse any individual Nazis as war criminals?
Well, this one I would accuse him, I guess, but I don't know any specifics.
Incidents?
But he beat people, he tortured people, he was a very mean character. Once I got, I think, 25 lashes too. There.
For what?
For what? For not staying in the line straight or what? Or something like this.
Well, do you know the composition of the inmates? Do you know the numbers, the age, the sex? Were they all Jews or non-Jews?
All Jews.
All Jews. What did the work consist of? What kind of work did you do?
The same labor work.
Can you describe the daily routine?
It's the same like any other camps. We got up, they took us to work and brought us back home.
Were any people killed that you saw?
No, I didn't see any people killed.
Were there any attempts to escape by you or others?
Not that I know of.
Was there an organized underground or planned resistance?
No.
Were there any contacts with the outside?
No, not in this camp. I wouldn't say there were any contact. Like in Blechem, there was contact, but not here.
Were there any attempts to cultural activity?
No, none whatsoever.
Were there any children in the camp?
No.
What were the relationships between the Jewish inmates? The same as the other camps?
Same as the other camps. There was nothing.
Were you ill there?
No, not that I know.
Was there medical attention?
I guess so. I think so, yeah.
Can you describe the clothing? Was it?
Poor. The clothing, wouldn't it?
Did you receive any mail officially?
No.
Questionnaire number 2 on Klettendorf. Survivor was there from May 1944 to September 1944. Can you tell me how you got there and from where?
Well, from Schmiedenberg, I got it's the same questions you have to go over again. But
answers to questions on camps Klettendorf, and Survivor was also in Camp Waldenberg from September 1944 to May 1945. Survivor says answers to questions are all basically the same. What was the social organization you were in, please?
Well, it was a Zionist organization for youth.
And what was the name?
Hanor Hatzion.
All right. Did you belong to it before the war and during the ghetto period?
Yes.
It was in organization during the ghetto period?
I don't think it was active during the ghetto period because a lot of the leaders ran away, like they ran to Russia or escaped. Whoever lived in the ghetto, I don't think they were in activities during the war.
Did you belong to any underground organization?
No.
What were your activities as member of the organization until the ghetto rebellion?
Activities?
Yeah.
Well, mostly we learned about Zionism, about Israel. We learned Jewish songs, Jewish dance. We play table tennis, and we went off outings. The difference, like normal, like what you do here.
What was your status? You know, were you a commander? Did you have an ordinary number?
A commander? I was no commander. I was 14 years old. I just joined maybe a year before the war, or around, maybe later, maybe a few months.
Can you please recount names and personal details of members of your group? Do you remember any names of who was in the same group?
Believe it or not, I don't remember.
You don't remember? Do you remember the names of the commanders?
No.
What were the contacts of your group with other Jewish groups in the ghetto? If there were any.
But in the ghetto, I mean, like I said, in the ghetto there weren't any activities like for groups. But before we have contact, we came together, different groups, different things.
Right.
What was relevant to Zionism, mostly.
What were the contacts with the Aryan side, if there were any?
What do you mean with that?
You know, with the Germans. Were there any contacts with the Germans with your group?
In the war, no. With the Poles, you mean, maybe?
Were any weapons used?
No, not that I know.
What were the contacts with the Polish? You just said there were some contacts with the Polish.
I think sometimes when we play sake games, sometimes we play with them, or things like this.
Were any weapons used?
No.
Where did the money come from, you know, to support the organization?
I think we got some support and we paid dues. We got some money from large organizations, I guess.
How do you define Jewish traders? Did you know any Jewish traders?
What do you mean Jewish traders? Storekeepers?
No, traders, you know, that helped the Nazis or helped...
traders?
Traders.
Bad guys. Well, there were some, I guess, but they mostly they believe that if they betray their other friends, they're going to be safe to survive.
Did you know any personally?
Yeah, I think I don't know if he was a trader, but he was a policeman a Jewish policeman. Only it wasn't nice, I think. He was accused of, what do you mean by betraying? He would go, and if somebody would, somebody hide out, he would tell the Germans or what. So we think for this he's going to get a reward or what.
Did you do anything to him? Or?
No, I was too young. I mean, was in little boyche, yeah.
Answer to question 13 would be, if we fight, they fought because they had nothing to lose. Question 14, what happened to your family, and when did you leave them?
Well, I lived my family in 1942, I believe, and they cleared out Olkush from like a winter bending.
What happened to your family?
Well, my family, my older brothers and sister went to Russia, and my younger brother stayed with the parents, and they were taken to Auschwitz.
Survivor was liberated May 8, 1945 from Waldenburg by the Russians, and Survivor lived in Germany until 1950, came to the U.S. from Germany in 1950.